board of directors is over here better. I've been lucky enough to sit on the board of directors for about 5 years now. So I do not suffer from endometriosis, but someone put something into perspective the other day for me. So I don't know if anyone has heard of the Pay Nothing Windsor page. It's a Facebook group page. It's amazing. People give away things for free on there. And so I always feel really awkward and uncomfortable, like taking things from someone that I could pay for. I don't know why. And I own a farm. We produce eggs, and I've left dozens of eggs for people when I've gone and picked up those free things. And someone made a really interesting perspective to me. And I was robbing those people of that good feeling that you get by just giving someone something for nothing in return. And I know that being a part of the American Endo Project, not having endometriosis, not suffering from that, I feel really, really good when I get to help other people. And so before COVID robbed us of our yearly event, we used to host a yearly carnival event in around Halloween. And one of the amazing people that our founder for the nonprofit helped got up and she spoke. And she spoke about how Holly had assisted her and helped her get the surgery that she needed to feel better. And if this is kind of all new to all of you, Holly's going to go into more detail about endometriosis and why we're fighting to help women, because women are not given the care that they deserve and that they need. And so this woman got up and basically she explained how Holly had helped her and how she got the proper surgery that she needed to fight the endometriosis that was inside of her. And they actually discovered a tumor inside one of her organs. And if they hadn't discovered it, she most likely would have passed away. So because of Holly's effort and because of what Holly has done, she saved this woman's life. I didn't do any of it. It made me feel good. I felt amazing, like just being a part of this. And so it is such a great nonprofit, and it's so great to be able to be a part of it and to help other people. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our amazing founder, Holly.
Sorry, I didn't tell you that this existed. This is not for amplification. This is because I'm actually live streaming right now. So although Endo Project is based in Windsor, because that's where we are, we actually have people who we impact all over the country. So for everybody that could not make it because they're in the rest of the country, I wanted them to be able to kind of be here with us tonight as well. So hopefully this is making the audio on the live stream just a little bit smoother and not so echoey. Sorry, I didn't tell you about it. Oh, it's okay. Yes. Awesome. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I wasn't sure how many people were coming at all. And so every time one of you walked in, I was like, no way, this is so cool. So I'm really happy that you're all here. This is obviously something that means a ton to me. This is a huge deal. And when I tell you more about my story, you'll understand a little bit more why it's such a big deal to me. But having this organization is, I don't know, vindication for so much suffering over the years. This is like how I kind of punch back and go, okay, well, we're going to do it this way now. We're going to change things. People aren't going to suffer like this on my watch if I can help it. So, so thank you for being here. Who has ever heard of endometriosis? Oh my goodness. Awesome. So, what if I were to tell you, and don't take this personally, it's not your fault. What if I were to tell you that probably a lot of what you know about endometriosis is wrong? We'll see. We'll see what is correct that you know and what is like, wait a second, as we go on. Why is it important to have good info about endometriosis? I mean, why, what could it be? Why would be a good reason? Well, there's a lot of good reasons. First of all, 1 in 10 biological females has endometriosis. 1 in 10. So if you look at that on the scale of, just the population as a whole, that's about the same percentage of people who have diabetes. Okay. So, because about 5% of the general population has diabetes. So, if you break down the genders and you break it all down, the amount of people who have endometriosis is similar to people who have diabetes. Diabetes, though, is a household word. Diabetes is something where even if people don't know a whole lot about it, they know there's some sugar and insulin and there's something going on. They know some facts about it, right? Endometriosis, there's a lot of bad info out there. So also, if you have endometriosis, someone in your family is 7 times more likely to have endometriosis. There is a hereditary kind of component. It doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna pass it down, but if you have someone who is a parent or an aunt, um, there's gonna be a 7 times more likely chance to have endometriosis. Endometriosis can affect fertility. So 30 to 50% of people who have it struggle with infertility. That's a huge deal. Endo is listed in the top 20 most painful conditions, and so just to live with. And so you've got 1 in 10 struggling with one of the most painful conditions. A lot of reasons why they feel like they can't talk about it. And productivity is lost in the workplace, home life. It's just bringing people down. When you got this many sick people who can't do anything about it, trying to just live their lives, and it's this hard, society suffers. This is a societal problem. This is not something that people should just suffer with quietly at home and think they're the only one. This is a societal problem, and it's huge. Another reason it's important, lives are lost because of endometriosis. People die by suicide because they can't find hope. They're miserable. So there are suicides every year because of endometriosis pain. There are accidental overdoses, people just trying to take their meds to feel better. They accidentally overdose. That happens. Like the story that Tiffany was telling about one of the people that we helped, this person kept going to the doctor and saying, I need help. I need help. Oh, you're fine. Some women just don't handle this stuff very well, doing all the usual poo-pooing you. And it turns out, guess what? She's got cancer in her appendix. Thank God she went to an endometriosis specialist and had everything, taken out the proper way. So basically, what it comes down to, why is it important? Well, if we want societal change, it begins with us because nobody else is doing it. It's up to us. All right. So first, we're going to talk about what really is endometriosis. Then we're going to talk about problems endo patients face and what Endo Project is doing to help. Then we're going to talk about some good news and some opportunities, okay? So, let's see here.
I just want to mention that feel free to help yourself with more wine, more water.
Yeah, go to town.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, does that work? Perfect. Thank you I didn't even notice. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So we're going to talk about all of that, but without any further ado, I'm going to talk a tiny bit about myself. I don't want to go too crazy, but, and then I also want to talk about my aunt who had endometriosis. Okay. So me, Cliff Notes, Sonoma County native, married. I have 3 kids. I love my kids. I love my nieces. I've got 2 nieces. I love all my babies. I am a florist. Check out the flowers. And I have endometriosis. Okay. My aunt, my beloved Aunt Diana, she was a Napa County native, or Sonoma County born, but then lived in Napa. Married, had 3 kids, had nieces, loved her nieces, was a florist, and had endo. Parallel lives. But there's going to be a point where I'm going to tell you how our lives kind of went from being parallel and kind of diverged a little bit in the differences in our stories. But for my story, I had endo pain since I was 10. Started my period. Oh God, this is not good. This is very bad. But it was just kind of, well, some people don't handle those things very well. It's part of being, menstruation, it's part of that. There's really nothing to do about it, right? You just kind of just grin and bear it. You get your heating pad and you wait. And so that's what I did. I tried, different ibuprofen, Tylenol. Didn't do anything. But this is how life is. That's just what you think, right? So then it got more severe, it seemed, over the years. My first baby was a surprise. And they say that a lot of times pregnancy cures endometriosis. Nope. It got worse after him. And then it continued to get worse. I didn't struggle with fertility, infertility issues. I had 3 babies, but the pain kept getting worse. It was really, really bad. And I was done. Felt like I could not go on any further. I was completely done with life. I was like, I have these kids. I'm blessed. I can't even take care of them. I feel like I can't go to the playground with them right now. I'm dropping them off at preschool and going home and taking pain meds and just laying on the couch and just wishing for, to just go to sleep. I can't handle this anymore. And then without any help from any doctors I'd ever been to, my husband was the one who found that there's actually endometriosis specialists. I had never heard this before. I swore up and down and left and right there was no such thing because no doctor had ever told me about them. So I found the specialist. He had a book. I read it. It was great. Changed my life. It's one of my favorite books right now, favorite books ever, because it made such an impact on my life. And yeah, it was amazing. So long story short, I got the help that I needed. And since I like doing research and I'm a little bit feisty, I got insurance to cover it, which is not always how that goes. And yeah, so I mean, 18 years later, I got help. 18 years later. Yeah. So even with a delayed diagnosis and even longer to get actual help, I consider myself one of the lucky ones because I actually did get a diagnosis and I actually did get help and I actually do feel great now. There's no cure for endometriosis, but best kept secret in medicine is that there is such thing as remission. So I am enjoying remission right now, and it's lovely. So, what is endometriosis? If you look up, wow, I'm missing stuff. Okay, what is endometriosis? So if you look at the definition of it, if you're going to talk like cellularly, it's endometrial-like tissues. So like if the inside of the uterus is called the endometrium, endometrial-like tissues, similar, not the same thing, but similar. Those tissues that are found outside of the uterus and grow on different parts of the body. That's the definition. Unfortunately, if you look up the definition online, a lot of really well-known places that you should be able to trust don't have the right definition still. They still say it's the actual endometrium that's on the outside. Doesn't seem like a big deal. It is a big deal. It changes everything when you get the definition wrong, just a little tiny bit. And I could go into that. That would be a whole nother topic, but I'll keep rolling in the right direction. So where does it come from? Another thing, there's a whole bunch of theories about. The one that you probably have heard from your doctor is called Samson's theory. Samson's theory was that when someone has a period, some of it kind of regurgitates back up into their pelvic cavity and it takes the endometriosis, or not the endometriosis, the endometrium out and makes implants. That was Samson's theory. This has been disproven as at least a main cause of endometriosis over and over and over. There have been fetuses who have never menstruated before who have been found with endometrial tissues or like endometriosis tissues. It's been found in some animals who don't menstruate. It's been found in some men who don't menstruate. don't menstruate. See, so they probably killed them, right? Yeah. So so this theory is the one that normally you go to the doctor and you're like, why do I have this? That's the one they're going to tell you. Nope, incorrect. So there's some other theories about it. I think one of the most alluring theories is probably that it's something's going on. It gets laid down when you are forming as an embryo, and then different environmental factors can trigger it, turn it on. So imagine like if you had lights, like carnival, like those signs at the carnival that light up and go in different patterns. If you had them and you made this pattern, and now you can turn them on or off. You can either make the sign light up or you can make the sign turn off, or you can make it do this. So that's kind of my version of how I think this probably is. But there are a few different theories. But that's, yeah, the fact that it's laid down as an embryo and then turned on or off is, I think, a pretty good one. So Endometriosis is often called a menstrual disease. Why is that? It often flares up during different times in a person's cycle. It's not particularly menstrual disease, actually. Growing body of research is showing that actually endometriosis can form anywhere. It's been found in every single organ of the body. Interesting. Endometriosis causes things such as fatigue, insomnia, anxiety, like all these problems. Endometriosis, if you've got a little bit of it somewhere, perhaps you have it here, but the way it's hitting the nerve, making your leg hurt, making your back hurt, it can mess with different parts of the body, which I'll talk about more in a second. So it can cause all these different things, brain fog. So it's a full body disease, even if you don't have it all over your body. It's a full body disease. It is not just a menstrual disease. It does not just affect the pelvic cavity, although it's usually where it's found. Oftentimes, it's also found elsewhere. So there's that. So who has watched Cinderella, the animated Cinderella, Disney? Okay. Anastasia and Drusilla, evil twin sisters, right? They're awful. They're awful. I made a meme one time that was very well loved by people in the endometriosis community because it was the picture of them and it says adenomyosis and endometriosis, like they're the evil sisters. So oftentimes adenomyosis is confused with endometriosis. A lot of the same symptoms, but adenomyosis is when the endometrium is actually like digging into the other layers of the uterus, and the uterus is kind of a mess. Adenomyosis, if you get a hysterectomy, cures it because you're getting rid of the problem uterus. Endometriosis, if you get a hysterectomy, nope, not a cure. Not going to do anything. I always say it's oftentimes throwing out the baby instead of the bathwater because the problems might be elsewhere and you're taking out the uterus and, oh gosh, there's problems everywhere else. So endometriosis, these little cells that we're talking about, cells don't sound too nasty, right? They are. They make lesions. These lesions can form in different places. They can bleed. They can cause scarring. They can cause adhesions where the organs stick together. This is starting to sound even nastier and nastier, isn't it? It's pretty nasty stuff. So these adhesions impede functionality of different organs. If you have your nice little guts just cruising along, nice little tube of guts doing what it needs to do, and now you've got adhesions making it go and crimping it in half. What kind of symptoms do you think you're going to have with that? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. IBS-like symptoms. If you've got endometriosis that's messing with got a nice little fallopian tube doing its job. Well, what if it wasn't? What if the lesions were encroaching? What if there was adhesions that was kinking it in half? What do you think you're going to experience there? Fertility problems. If you've got endometriosis on the diaphragm, got the lesions starting to dig their little nasty selves up into your diaphragm, what's going to happen? Lung problems. Like it's just wherever it is, where it just causes havoc. It's nasty stuff. So, then they've got the staging of endometriosis. They've got, if you have it just kind of superficially and not that much, stage 1, all the way through deep infiltrating endometriosis, which is stage 4. Common misnomer is that the staging has anything to do with the symptoms. It doesn't. You could have somebody that has stage 1 and crippling pain where they feel like they cannot go on. I had stage 1, stage 2 kind of stuff. I was at my wit's end. It hurt so bad. Then you've got some other people who don't feel anything. They have no idea. They've got deep infiltrating endometriosis. Everything's and the only reason they find out is because they're trying to get pregnant and they can't. And then they go in surgically and go, oh, wow, you're a mess in there. So the staging really doesn't have a lot to do with anything. Yeah. So what other problems exist? I'm just a ball of fun today, aren't I? The bad news. So diagnosis and treatment. Okay, diagnosis. Everybody's story is different. Endometriosis people are like snowflakes. We all have similarities, but everybody's story is very different. But here's some typical situation where, oh no, I hurt real bad. I go to the doctor. The doctor says, Let's do an exam. They do a pelvic exam. Can't find anything. They do an ultrasound. Gosh, I don't see anything. I don't know. Send you home, right? This happens over and over. Maybe if they're a curious doctor, they send you for further imaging. If you've got deep infiltrating endometriosis or an endometrioma or some other like really thick thing that's really obvious, maybe they'll see it, but usually no, usually not. So you could get imaged by every single machine that exists, and most of the time you're not going to see anything with endometriosis. The only way to diagnose it is through a little surgery. Little. So keyhole surgery, laparoscopic surgery, same thing. They go in, different little points, look around with a magnifying camera and see what they can find. If they find it, they burn it out. They say you have to probably come back every couple years to have this happen because this is not something that we can cure. We're just going to keep burning it out. And or we can give you birth control. And if that birth control doesn't work, we'll give you another one. And if that one doesn't work, we'll give you another one. And if that one makes you feel crazy, we'll give you anti-anxiety meds with your birth control. And if you still have pain, which you will, we'll maybe give you pain meds, but then we'll judge you for taking them. That's pretty much how this goes, right? Oh my gosh. Then they start getting annoyed with you and they're like, well, we can shut down your ovaries. They want to put you into medical menopause. So they want to give you medication that just closes down the shop, puts you into menopause. They started toying with that idea for me when I was about 25. They started saying they wanted to give me a test run for my hysterectomy, my inevitable hysterectomy, because that's the other thing they say will help is a hysterectomy. And as we talked about a second ago, that's not true. That only helps with adenomyosis. So that's how this goes. And if you still have pain after surgery, they look at you like you're crazy cakes, and that's your life. That's how it goes, right? So this whole thing, usually the average diagnosis time from when you first start complaining to getting even a diagnosis, I'm not getting help, but a diagnosis is 8 to 10 years. That's the average. Okay. So let's talk about how it should be. That what I learned years and years, 18 years later, how it should be. Okay. Early, timely diagnosis. Imagine if these girls who are first having problems, these people who are first having problems, get brought in. The doctor says, I believe you. This is not normal. We're going to help you. Then you do lifestyle changes. You work on anti-inflammatory foods to help you get your body out of a state of inflammation. You figure out if there's anything making things angry. You think, you look at different ways of supporting your body nutritionally. You go in, you get one surgery done correctly, where they go in and they don't burn the lesions. They excise them. They treat them like cancer and they excise them. Excision is getting to be kind of a buzzword in endometriosis land. And a lot of doctors say that they do excision, and they do. But the key is having an endometriosis specialist who does wide excision. They imagine if you're dealing with weeds, right? So burning it is like just cutting off the leaves and leaving the roots and any seeds that have scattered next to it. Wide excision is digging out the root around it, getting all the healthy stuff around it. There's no seeds, there's no nothing. Get it out. Bye-bye. That is how it should be. There are very few endometriosis specialists in the world. They do exist though. Let's see here. How else things should be is the access. And by that, I mean how we speak about endometriosis, which that's why having good information is helpful. Being able to give people stuff. I've got all kinds of goodies back there. Everything over there is free. If you guys want a shirt or a bag or stickers or pins, whatever you want, I want to get the word out about endometriosis. Okay. And now you're going to have really good info to give people, and there's brochures, and yeah, we're blowing the cover on this thing. The info we put out there, the beliefs we have, the idea of not just like, oh, hush, hush, this is just how things are. The doctors saying, is that my phone? Tiffany, we turn on my phone. Yeah. You'd think I'd plan ahead. It's just a alarm. Um, so yeah, the way that we talk about things, the way we support people, really, really important because yeah. Yeah, so a lot of the times, obviously, this is girls and women, but imagine also if you were a transgender person or somebody, imagine you have a uterus, you have a mustache, and you go to the doctor and you want help. And they're like, excuse me. They're like, excuse me, what? Like there's this weird disconnect of not being able to help that person. So there's a whole nother set of issues that people are going through, and everybody deserves treatment. Everybody deserves to be treated kindly, and everybody deserves to have their issues addressed the correct way, right? So there's a whole nother set of issues that someone could probably talk about for a really long time. Then we've got this financial issue. Don't worry, I'm almost done with bad news. Financial issue. You've got HMOs and things where like all you have is what's in their network, and you've got this great endo specialist maybe a couple hours away, but it's not gonna happen. Even with like a PPO kind of insurance, there are some ways of getting things covered. Possibly, we've done that a few times now, and it's really hard though. You have to fight with insurance. These people are not in networks because they're not recognized as a subspecialty. And they're not recognized by a subspecialty because it just hasn't been done yet. It needs to be created, a subspecialty of endometriosis specialist. If you have cancer, you go to an oncologist. If you have, golly, I don't know what else. You specialist problem. Right now it's like you have endometriosis and they're like, go to an OBGYN. OBGYNs can be great doctors, excellent doctors, not be good endometriosis doctors. They do not know all the different appearances of endometriosis. It can come in all the colors of the rainbow. It has all these different appearances that are not normally taught. You kind of have to be in it for a really long time to be able to see all the different ways that it can be. There's a certain set of locations they think it should be. It doesn't behave that way. It does whatever the heck it wants. So they go looking for it in certain places, in certain manifestations, don't see it, close up shop. You don't have endo, or you only have a little bit. That's what happened with me. My first surgery, they went in, they found one lesion, and we're like, yeah, that's it. Well, it was not it. Had more than that. There was a few things going on. So regs are not equipped to deal with this properly. They're just not. You have to get to a specialist. Then there's the other things. There's pelvic floor physical therapy that can help people who have been in a state of like, oh no, for such a long time. There's all these other treatments, these other things to support a person's body that they can do after they've had it excised. And I'm not trying to say that there's a cure because like I said, there's not. And I'm not trying to say that you'll definitely feel better if you do everything that I'm saying. I'm just saying if ever you were going to, this is the best chance you have if you do these things, right? And it's going to be different for everybody, but this is generally a really good path for people, and it exists. It's a real thing. There actually is a path. People don't have to be hopeless all the time. So for the American End of Endo Project, we are doing whatever we can to address the issues people face in finding the best available care for their endometriosis. We're bridging the gaps. If there's a gap to, finding a specialist, we're bridging it. If there's a gap to information, we're bridging it. We have education on our website that is good quality information. We're working on overhauling a program that we have called Endo Squad Training. That's in the works right now. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited about it. We have a directory of endometriosis specialists on our website. Search by location. You can find them. We're working on adding a directory of pelvic floor physical therapists because I believe it's such an important part of treatment. We have all kinds of awareness events. We have all kinds of swag. We send people, we give them instructions on how to give away swag and how to, use it to incorporate into like conversations to get people good information. We have one-to-one support, constantly helping people with just walking through their journey with them, especially if they don't have like a good support system. It's like, okay, well, we're part of your family now. I'm your sister. Hello, I will help you. Helping them fight with their insurance companies. There's this one woman I'm keeping up with right now, and she's struggling trying to get them to cover this, and I'm her cheerleader. I'm like, you got this, girl. Try this, try that. Oh, you got this. So I'm really excited about that. It looks like she's close, so that's really cool. Let's see here. Voices of Endo. We have a program on our social media where people can answer these certain questions, and then we put them into shareable graphics so that it just helps people not feel alone, which I feel like is a really good first step. Because endometriosis is a really isolating condition. I remember thinking I was the only one in the world who had this problem, that I was weak, that I couldn't handle anything, that I was just this pathetic ball of one-offness that nobody knew anything about and was going to have to live like this. Like, how bleak is that? That's why I want Endo Project to be so happy and so supportive and so encouraging, because you need it to pull you out of the dark place that it can put you in. We also offer, as of a little bit more recently, we have financial help. We started a website called yellowribbonpages.org. This is crowdfunding exclusively for endometriosis fighters. So people can start a campaign on there. They can get, it's just like a GoFundMe type of thing. You can go and have your supporters donate to the cause. And the reason that we started this, as opposed to just having people continue to go to GoFundMe, was because we wanted enough people eventually to get on there where when people go to visit the website to donate or to check it out, they go, wow, there's a lot of people on here that all have the same kind of story. This is a big deal. So it itself is an awareness thing, having this Yellow Ribbon Pages. In fact, the logo for it, I should put it on my slideshow. It's a yellow elephant whose trunk is a yellow ribbon. And it's because we're addressing the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room, what we're not talking about. Thank you, my lovely assistant. That's some of our shirts that we have over there if you're interested. Yellow Ribbon Pages. There's the elephant. So, yeah. So, okay. So we'll talk more about financial stuff in just a second. At the beginning of the evening, I started by telling you about my story and about my beloved Aunt Diana and what she endured during her life. Her life was cut too short. She died. And it was because of unaddressed health problems that destroyed her heart. It was not endometriosis that killed her. It was something else, but she had unaddressed health issues. So she did have the endometriosis. She did have a hysterectomy when she was fairly young. She did continue to have issues that I don't know if she realized were endometriosis. But me knowing what I know now, I look back and I'm like, oh, no way. Oh, shoot. It like gives me chills looking back. She had gut problems, inexplicable gut problems. She had back pain. She had things like that were issues that I had before I got my adhesions taken apart, and before, oh my gosh, she had this. She was let down by a healthcare system that brushed her off. They didn't listen. They didn't provide answers. They didn't provide relief. So she accepted the trash that she was told about her endometriosis and how a hysterectomy would fix it. And then she proceeded to live out her days with pain and gut issues that could have perhaps been addressed if she had access to good help. On the other end of the spectrum, my story is happier. It began like hers, but by the grace of God, I found my endometriosis specialist. I got good information. My surgery was paid for by insurance. I have access to pelvic PT. I have information about dietary changes that have made another huge difference. I'm really blessed and I'm aware of that. But sadly, my story is more rare than a lot of people's. It's a lot more rare than my aunt's. My aunt's story more clearly defines the story of millions of sufferers. When I started Endo Project in 2017, the goal was that this gross oversight and mistreatment of people with endometriosis ends with this generation. I have 2 nieces of my own, and I could not live with myself knowing that I did not do everything I could to give them an even better chance than the one I had. It was her generation, it was my aunt's generation that just got nothing. It was my generation that got something late. I want the next generation to get everything on time. So, I have some good news. Yay! This is for this reason, the American End of Endo Project has started the Diana Peterson Williams Memorial Fund. This fund, in honor of my aunt, is intended to help those who cannot afford expert endometriosis excision and supplementary treatments on their own. This fund is separate than AEEP's general fund, and specific fundraisers will go to one or the other. And there will always be a running donate button option for the Diana Peterson Williams Memorial Fund on the Yellow Ribbon Pages website. So it will always be a campaign, and we will periodically select people who have campaigns running on Yellow Ribbon Pages and help just bring them to their finish line so that they can have a chance at a much happier ending. I have gone, and Tiffany, did you pass out? Okay, thank you. I have gone from being a 10-year-old little girl thinking that crippling pain is just the way it is, through quite a bit of hell. And now it's a profound honor to get to speak with you and be able to encourage you to take control of your own health journey. It's a privilege to get to honor my beloved aunt with this treatment fund we're launching for her legacy. This is just it's surreal for me. It really is. It's surreal to go back and think of. It just seems like just yesterday being curled up on the bathroom floor in such agony going, what good could possibly ever come of this? That's what I always say. What good could ever? But this is it. This is what we're doing. So I hope that if you feel led, you can take this information and get involved with Endo Project, be it through financial support, in-kind donations, or volunteering. But more importantly, I hope that this helps you in your own health journey or helps you with someone's life that you care about. And that in turn, we together create a ripple effect that will be the end of Endo. So thank you so much. And Tiffany, do you want to tell about volunteering opportunities? Volunteering opportunities? You're so funny. So yes or no?
Yeah. Can you take questions?
Tiffany. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not for me.
Sure, yeah. Yes.
I actually have 3 questions.
Okay.
Okay, the first one, when you talked about detecting
Endometriosis. You can call it endo. Yeah.
something that can be detected or picked up in an MRI.
It's only, I think MRIs are the only ones that can pick up when it's really very dense or if there's some other really weird stuff going on. Usually, no. That is not a go-to.
My next question is, in young girls, what should mothers look for? What are some of the symptoms that a mom should look for?
Yes. Good, good, good.
And when are you
Yes.
taking this to high school, the middle school?
Yes. So we have taught in a high school. Yes.
Running this nonprofit.
It is, yes, it's true. It's true. No, we need a ton of help. We have taught in a school before. We've taught some high school classes, and it was a blast. It was so good. Yeah. So the question was, what should parents be looking for in their child to try to detect this? That's a very, very good question. This is one of those things where if it were in other parts of the body, there's going to be weird stuff going on. That's going to be a longer process. So if you just want to talk about the basic pelvic involvement, I would probably say excruciating pain around periods, sometimes around ovulation. It doesn't have to be both. These are just everything's you could have this or that or both, So pain around menstruation, ovulation, that's not controlled with regular, Pamprin doesn't make a dent in it, probably have a problem. Endometriosis is a leading cause of pelvic pain in teenagers. Like usually, I don't want to say usually, but oftentimes that's what it is.
So my third question is, this is something that sounded like it's hereditary.
Mm.
Okay, so is it more pronounced coming from the mom's side, or does a dad carry any part of that gene?
That is a very good question. So she's asking if just to make sure the skin. So, yeah. So, she's asking if the hereditary component comes from more of one parent's side or the other. I wish I had a good answer for you, and I don't. I don't have a good answer. I think that it can probably be from both, but I don't know. Yeah. Good. Any other questions? Yes.
I want to say that I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for helping us maybe identify and recognize that younger individuals that have periods,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe we need to listen to what their complaints are a little differently.
Yes.
Thinking that they have to suffer the same way that we suffered.
Yep.
Right? I'm a woman who's 42, just now kind of finding out why things have been happening with my body over all of these years, even though I've been complaining about it.
Right.
Same thing. I have a sister who suffered from massive period pain her entire life.
Yeah.
And you're right. We are told to suck it up. And
Right.
that it's a part of it.
Right.
And there's not the standardized expectation of norm that you're not supposed to be feeling a shit ton of pain.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And, right? Like, and then it becomes this part where women suffer in silence for so long. I literally wouldn't go to the emergency room the other day because I just thought I need to suck this shit up.
Yes. Yes.
And get it together.
It's true.
It's not the case. I ended up having an issue, but the reason is because we learn at 10, 11, 12 years old when we get our cycles.
Yep.
That when you experience massive pain, it's part of becoming a woman.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
thank you for bringing
Exactly.
this to people's attention.
That is really good. It's really, really good. That's a very good point. I wish that this could pick. I wish this was longer so I could be holding this up to you because that was killer and I want to get that. It'll probably show up on the Instagram version, maybe. Hope. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
What is the difference between endometriosis and a fibroid?
So fibroids are in the uterus. So they're, the growths and then endometriosis is growth outside of the uterus. Yeah. 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 Is there another question over here?
A little bit deeper than that, right? So if you think about a fibroid, think about a bunch of thin layers of lasagna. Okay?
Yeah.
So your uterus is a bunch of thin layers of lasagna. A fibroid is a big ass meatball or giant.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well
Different
said.
layers of that lasagna.
That's
where they're
such
not
a good
supposed to be,
definition.
right? So sometimes they're all on the bottom of the lasagna, that's the inside of the uterus.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yes.
it can be on the top of the
That's so
lasagna.
good.
The fibroids are just those messy meatballs that grow inside of the uterus, but it can be all on the inside, in the wall, and on the outside. But more like meatballs instead of like
That is such a good definition of fibroids. I love that. A lasagna with layers. Supposed to be vegetarian lasagna, but what? There's meatballs in the. That's amazing. That's so good. I'm gonna remember that forever. Killer. Nicely done. Awesome. Other questions? Anything? No. Okay. Yes, Robin. Mhm. Yes. So she's asking for the live stream. She's asking, how was it emotionally to have a diagnosis finally and not just think I was crazy cakes? So this happens in two parts. So the first part was my first surgery because I've had two for this particular issue. First one was locally done and it was quick. And they went in there and they said, you have one lesion. I thought from how I felt, I was going to be like, in those caves with like the stalactites and stalagmites. And that's what I pictured. I was like, I don't know what endo looks like, but I'm pretty sure it's going to look like a bunch of jagged teeth coming out of myself. And I wake up and I come to and I'm expecting this. I'm like, yes. And they're like, oh, we found one lesion here. And I'm like, what? Oh, that's gross. Golly, that's the worst thing. I thought this is the worst possible thing because now I feel so weak and pathetic. Like it's kind of a diagnosis, but it also isn't because I was like, where's the rest? And I didn't understand about the different staging not really mattering. And I was like, this is so confusing. So I felt very alienated from the rest. I wouldn't even look up endometriosis, like see if there's a community or see if there's, I was like, well, it's kind of me, but not really. Everybody else has it worse than I do. I learned that this is a typical trait with people who have endo is they always kind of don't own their own story because somebody has it worse. It's kind of a sick, we all have a toxic trait. That's it. When I actually had my specialist surgery and I actually heard there was more going on, and I actually heard that he was very thorough and got it all, and I heard him say, I really think you should be feeling better now. That was so wonderful. It was amazing. Even just going to this guy's office, my specialist, going to his office for the first time, it was like an oasis of comfort that I'd never had in any healthcare setting before. Everyone there was like, I'd say stuff that I thought was random, and I was like really scared to say it because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so weird. And I would say it, and they'd be like, oh yeah, typical endo. And I'm like, shut up, really? Oh my gosh, I thought I was crazy. So yeah, just to hear you're not crazy, I'm going to help you. And then here, you were not crazy. We found it. We got it. You're going to feel better now. Oh, nothing better. Nothing better. Yep. Really good stuff. Other questions? Anything else? Name drop the book. It's Stop Endometriosis and Pelvic Pain by Dr. Andrew Cook. That's the book. That is, love that book. Love my doctor. Love that book. Just really, really excellent help that I was given. Awesome. Cool. So, Tiffany, do you want to share some of our opportunities? That'd be great. Tiffany's going to share some opportunities to get involved with Endo Project.
And I did have one answer for your question about talking with your children. Boys and girls, talk about uncomfortable things, because we might not want to talk about the fact that it's painful to have sex, because we're going to cover that up. That's something I'm dealing with right now. I'm hopefully going to be able to get a hysterectomy to deal with it. But talk about the uncomfortable things, because as women, if no one talks to us about it as a girl, we're not going to talk about it as an adult. So talk about those period poops. Talk about talk about those things. Start normalizing that with your kids. I'm not saying getting up like me in front of a room full of strangers and talking about it, but with your kids, talk about it with your sons and your daughters, because your son might be able to support someone one day and support their wife or support their friend. Talk about it. Normalize these kinds of conversations. So that was the thing that I had to say on that. Yeah, Holly made me cry. Isn't she amazing? Like, we need to. Someone told me one time, actually, when I was buying my business, the man I bought the business from was just surround yourself with those who inspire you, surround yourselves with those who make you want to be a better person, Holly's such a better person than me. I tell her that all the time. She's a better friend. She's better at everything. I'm always trying to damn it, you're better than me. And she is just amazing. So I had my whole speech planned, and then I got all awkward because I'm in front of a bunch of people. But my whole talk about doing this just out of the goodness of your heart and doing things. We have a lot of opportunities that you can help if you're interested, and someone who might be interested. So, for example, we need money. We can always use more money because we want to help people. We want to get into classrooms and teach girls about what is normal and what is not. I attended Hillsborough High School. There's I think it's called survival skills or something class there. And they have people come in and talk about all different things. You have the police officer who talks about drunk driving. I actually presented to my class. I suffered from an eating disorder in high school. I received treatment for it. And I actually went and educated people. And there was one kid who helped his friend who had the eating disorder. So we have all these outlets that we could do, but we do need funding, and we can start a program like that if you're a grant writer. And you can help us fund that. You can help us maybe get information out to people, get people to classrooms, because there is those opportunities within classrooms, and we could use things like that. Oh, my phone timed out. There's social media, blogging, news writing. Holly mentioned our directory of doctors and physical therapists across the United States. We can always use people who can just reach out. You don't have to have a certain set skill, just have these letters that we already have. Reach out to doctors, ask, hey, is this what you're offering?
physical therapists. Hey, do you do PT? All this stuff. So we can use help with that. Obviously, fundraising, setting up online courses. So there's a lot of different opportunities. Maybe in your head during this time, you thought, ooh, I have something that I think can help. Please reach out to us. It's Holly. She's like, she carries us all. And we could all use some help here. We're a hardcore working board. And it's just, like I mentioned earlier, it's just amazing. You get those women that get up and like, Holly made a difference in their lives. Like, and she has been like that forever. She sat in my chair. I was a hairstylist before I bought a farm. And that is one of the things I know, right? Totally normal. But she sat in my chair for years. Oh, I don't know a better word than complaining right now. I don't want to just suffering. She suffered for years. And I had to listen to I got to listen. Jesus. I'm doing great. This is live. Hi. She inspired me so much. And now she and I get to help people. And it's just this really amazing, amazing thing. So I'm going to end it on that because I'm doing great. Thank you.
Wow. Talk about wow. Ladies, thank you so very much. I'm thinking about my own daughter, thinking about like replaying some of the things that she's said, and definitely going to have a different conversation tonight. And my son, who has a girlfriend. So thank you so much for bringing that to our attention, and awareness is everything. So why we're all here also is to network, right? I mean, we're here to kind of explain who we are and what we do and what do you do and how can we help each other, and let's be better business people and women and just empower other women. So with that, I just want to say, because I did it before, that I'm Kara Stewart. I'm an independent financial advisor. I specialize in